What's up, Zox fam? We've been doing a ton of grinding in Tribe 9, and we are finally at the point where we only need 2 more marks to be able to push into Chapter 2. But this is going to require us to actually start doing some dungeons, and so I felt like the next few videos, I wanted to help you guys boost your accounts. We're going to be talking about compatible monsters and the rank up system that gets introduced when you get bamboozled thinking that you're going into Chapter 2. Now, of course, with that, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. Now, first things first, guys, right? To show you guys where I'm currently at on the map so that you see my mission progression, this is the mission right here where you go to the subway of the Shinagawa Ticket Gate, right? Now, this is essentially going to be the intro or the direction that you need to be headed in to go to Chapter 2. But when you get here, you're gonna get hit with a gate that requires you to have 43 gate marks or mark stickers, right? So with that being the case, the rank system then gets introduced. And at this point, this is now going to help you start power spiking, right? Now, with the rank system, and I want to just talk about that first, the rank system is actually going to be quite unique because it's allowing you to technically scale really anything you currently want at that moment based off of what you see to be valuable to the character that you're investing in. Now, as far as what you're able to scale, and this is different to each character, but you can scale the fighting instincts, survival instincts, coordination, passive skill expansion 1, and then passive skill expansion 2 is locked. But basically, in order for you to unlock this, the character has to be at rank 4 or above. Now, the thing about this is that as you notice, I'm currently at rank 2 with Yo Kuronaka, right? Now, the thing about this is that it then starts to require a whole new slew of resources. And you might even notice that one of the resources here is the Rage Stabilizer, which you specifically get from the shark boss that you have to fight. Now, I'm gonna have a video linked down below to the homie Scion Storm. He actually showcases how you can actually tech this boss. And I figure might as well just watch that so that you can actually learn the tech, and I'll talk about some other things, right? So with that, okay, we basically have it to where, okay, we have our fighting instinct, and it's important to understand what this is doing. So like, for example, it has a battle effect, and then it has a XB effect. So very straightforward for the battle effect. For like the fighting instinct, it increases the action damage. And then the XB effect will affect things related to the super plays for batting, pitching, and bouts when in offense, right? Same thing for the survival. This is going to be in the battle, enhancing your max HP, your defense point, and your max stamina. And then same thing with the XB effect. It's going to be affecting your super plays related to catching bouts when in defense, right? Then you have your coordination, which is going to be enhancing your support, your base support point. And then in XB, it's basically making it more likely to activate super plays related to base running and / passing. And then when you go to the passive effect, the battle effect here is going to be unique to each character. So you will have to look at which character you're using. And then the XB effect is a little bit more likely to activate all super plays, right? So just kind of keeping these things in mind, these are essentially the values that you'll be able to rank up with this new ranking system. Now, for me personally, what I'm aiming for are things that are going to drastically affect me in battle, primarily because most of the gameplay loop is you in battle. Granted, the extra is that it does affect your super plays for the XB, but I will say that affecting and building upon the things that the character needs the most to be successful in like actual fights or combat is probably going to be the most beneficial thing. So that would be my advice. So whatever it is that they do, like for example, if we go to my Roku, for example, I'm going for his survival instinct, his passive survival instinct. And that's how I've kind of started to allocate it. So I would say that that could be a good method for you. But again, it's going to vary from character to character based off of what your comp is doing, right? Now, with that being the case, that's just kind of an overview. We might revisit this as we get more investment, but there are a ton of things and a ton of reasons as to why I was saying before, you need to be grinding and fighting things in the world. Because as you can see, a lot of these resources are just from us killing things, right? So like even here, it'll even tell you where the enemy source or what enemy source it comes from. If it is something that comes from an enemy source, if you can craft it, you can obviously craft it. These, for example, drop from chests as well. So just kind of thinking about that, that's the main reason why you constantly will see me slapping everything on the map, right? Now, the next thing I want to get into is the compatible monsters. I think it's actually really important to understand that with the compatible monsters, there are essentially a lot of different mistakes that I'm seeing a ton of people make. And I want to start off with kind of breaking this down and diving a little bit deeper into the gear system itself. Now, if we actually go a little bit deeper into it, keep in mind, right? Like I mentioned before, that the set effect, it only requires 2 pieces. Now, the thing about this is that that means that 2 of the slots are going to be going towards the set effect, and the 3rd slot is essentially a flex spot, which means any piece can go in that slot. But I think the main thing that I'm seeing a lot of people actually come across as an issue is they're just equipping pieces and not actually understanding what the values are that they're aiming for. So when we're taking a look here at the headpiece is only in the main stat going to give you flat defense. In the chest, it's only going to be flat HP, and the wings, it's only ever going to be flat attack. Now, where you're really getting that scaled value from is coming from the substats themselves. Now, the thing is that when we're looking at a gold piece, golden pieces are great, but they're not always the most optimal piece to equip to your character. And here's why. Because one of the things that you have to understand about gold pieces is that they come with 3 substats. One of those substats is actually going to be a enhanced value to increase a skill on a character. And when you look at all these pieces, they basically have a different character on each piece. So you're basically going to be trying to find the piece that makes the most sense or works for that specific character with proper substat values that still work for that character. And in most cases, you're probably not going to actually have the piece that works for that character because the enhanced skill is just going to be completely off. So that means that more than likely, if you are still equipping this piece would need to have really good substats. But what this is also saying is that a gold piece is really no different than a purple piece. And the reason that is because the only thing that you're not getting is the enhanced skill stat. And if it's not being allocated to the character that you're utilizing, then you're just better off using a purple piece. Now, the thing is that obviously when you're talking about purple to gold ratio pieces, you're going to be essentially having a much easier time finding certain values on some of these purple pieces. You still obviously want to aim for the higher tiers. Like if you can get tier 3 of what you're looking for and it's still purple, hey, it still works. But I would also argue that you don't want to get so caught up in that you ignore the actual value increments that you're getting. So here's one thing that, just a little tidbit, if you didn't know, it will tell you, right, that you're getting critical damage multiplier 2 plus. But what exactly is the stat value for that? So if you actually click on it, it will tell you this increases your critical damage multiplier by 30%. That's actually pretty huge, right? Or if we look at max stamina, it will give you a maximum stamina increase of 120, right? So these are going to be huge in order to making sure that you're getting more value on your characters. Let's take my Yo, for example, right? So granted, I'm using a gold piece on him, but I looked at all of my other gold pieces and they didn't really have stat values that I wanted to equip onto him. Like, for example, this piece is telling me, hey, you can get more defense, but you're going to get a support 3 and a attack 2. But if we go back to my Yo, one of the main things to understand about him is that he has really sucky support. He is not a support character at all, but he has pretty okay attack and an insane amount of break potential. So if I'm building him in any regard, he's going to be a character that I'm building for more damage. So the stat values that I'm actually aiming for, despite using the pieces that are gold, I'm actually going for like the crit rate. I'm going for the attack plus, right? If we go to the chest piece, we have the crit damage multiplier 3, which I was equipping this no matter who was on that enhanced slot because I didn't have another crit damage multiplier 3, which is a 35% increase. And then on top of that, it also had crit rate 2 plus on it, which is a 9% increment increase to crit rate, right? So I'm only focusing on these 2 substats, which again is emphasizing that you can still use these, but it would again leave you as far as the options you have or the allotted amount of gear to use. You can still use purple pieces and you're doing the same thing until you actually have a actual piece that is for the specific character you're using. Now, again, for the same piece here, this is granting recovery effect 1. We don't care about that. We really want that crit damage multiplier. Now, of course, you have to look at obviously the scaling here, seeing if you have another slot. I think these are all attacks. So technically I could change this piece for a piece that has potentially better substats. So let's actually see if we have anything with better substats. Like that's maximum HP with crit damage multiplier. We have ultimate skill efficiency. This actually might be slightly better. It does lower my attack base, but I will say having more crit damage multiplier and crit rate could be beneficial, considering that the base piece here that we have is granting just the crit damage multiplier. We could technically go with this piece because it's giving us then that additional crit rate. We're not actually using the enhanced skill anyway. So we lose a little bit of attack value, but that's okay because we're gaining a whole new stat that actually is going to be valuable to the character. And this is what I mean by ciphering through your pieces and seeing what makes the most sense for you to equip, because you might just find a piece that actually might be really insane and actually might get the job done versus saying having all gold pieces on. So let's actually equip this piece. Okay. And we're basically still satisfying that 2-piece effect. We have crit damage, crit rate, right, on that piece. We have crit rate, attack on that piece. And then on this one, we have crit damage and crit rate 1, right, plus. So that actually is going to be a huge boon to the character. And then when we go and we look at our substat values, we're still going to be hitting some of those points of power that we need to be hitting. So just kind of a rule of thumb, there are going to be some things in the mark sticker that require you to actually have your attack value at a certain point. And yes, your attack value at a certain point for all your characters. So if you look at all my characters, they have no less than 240 attack. That is a requirement, right? So that's why I wanted to take the time to actually go a little bit deeper into this and actually showing you how you can see the stat values themselves, because that ultimately is going to help you with completing those missions. And those missions are going to equal to marked stickers, which means you're pushing closer to getting to the next chapter. So at this point, this is going to now be the point of which you are going to look at your map and you're going to say, all right, where am I farming? You're going to be farming the rifts. The rifts here are the red icons here, right? So these are your rifts. You're going to be going to ones that are dropping things that you need for your specific team. I couldn't tell you specifically where you want to go because it's going to vary. Like, for example, if you need this resource drop to rank up your character more, then this is a place that you will go, right? If you're looking for, say, this piece, then you would go for this place, right? It all depends on what you're working on. And again, this is also for tension cards. I guess the last thing that I'll cover in this video is the tension cards. I did only mention 2 things in the beginning, but why not, right? Just to talk about what I actually invested in. I actually took the time to power push some of the base cards that I have. It is going to be another mission requirement for you to rank these up. I would say my best piece of advice, if you have not been pulling, the base cards that you have are absolutely amazing to invest in and to at least take up to the point of ranking them once you get them to level 10. Now, the thing is that I've taken things like the safe deploy up to level 20. I've taken the painful swing up to level 20. And I've also taken the ferocity up to level 20. The main reason is because these have multipliers on them. So like this is an ultimate skill damage multiplier. This is a increased crit damage multiplier. And this one right here basically increases my recovery effect of my own max HP. And then basically it, it's just giving me that value for my entire party to keep them alive and just really making sure that they have enough health on them, right? So with that being the case, I feel like that would be extremely valuable. The other thing is too, at least taking these up to 10 felt really nice just because this is increasing the crit rate value, the defense that I have. And then when I'm utilizing the unity here, which increases party members' defense point by 5%, it basically will have a 2 times increased effectiveness. And then on the other one I have, which has the perfect evasion basically effect that takes place, the flow of time will actually be will slow. So we actually get a slight increase there. And if we decided to actually level this, for example, you could increase that time. So this is a piece you technically could level. I feel like this is one of those pieces that actually help out people that need a little breathing room. Slow or time slow abilities are always really potent and powerful, depending on your skill level. If you played the game better, you really wouldn't need this. But if you don't, then I would definitely say this is a piece that could help you. So that's why I'm not taking it any further than level 10, because it does get really pricey. And like I said in the last video, you still want to make sure you're maintaining and saving resources. Now, of course, I know a lot of you guys might be wondering what the new resources that we got in the mail. They gave us more currency, okay? Now, I've already gone and claimed mine, but they basically got #1 in top free game downloads, and they also got #1 in top free charts on both platforms. So I guess that's iOS and Android. So they gave us 1,200 currency for that, and then they gave us 600 for hitting top being #1 in the top free game downloads. So again, guys, make sure you guys claim that, because that's almost another 2 multis that you essentially are getting. And again, we're pushing to the end of chapter 1 at this point, but I just wanted to make sure that I had this video out so that you guys could basically not make any mistakes, and you're basically getting that power up. So that's basically going to be that with this one, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.